Hey, how's it going, everybody? We're out in Bozeman, Montana in Highlight Canyon this week, doing some amazing climbing and skiing in the backcountry. All right, here we are in Highlight Canyon. We're going to talk about ice screws today. Ice screws come in various numbers of lengths, and generally we have colors on them. I usually go by the Petzl colors. They seem to be, I think Petzl and Black Diamond typically have the similar sizes for their colors, but you'll see centimeters on those too. But there's also some newer screws out. These are from Blue Ice. They're really super stubbies. And I would only suggest placing these if you're, an expert ice climber. These are more, really for aid climbing or something like that. Really thin ice that, not going to be for a beginner. But also, generally, I'm just going to buy yellow screws because, if you look here, we've got these two screws basically have the same amount of threads. The threads are where we get our strength. And so because of that, the yellow actually has the same amount of threads. So when I'm going to go place this blue screw, I do get a little bit farther back into the bad ice, but I can just clear the bad ice with the tool. And so then I can just carry yellow screws, which are a little shorter, a little bit lighter, and of course you don't have to screw them in quite as far. So on this yellow screw here, you can see just the same amount of threads as on the blue. And again, that's where we're getting our strength from, not from the depth in there. So if it's good ice, you can definitely just place the yellow. If it's bad ice, clear some of that bad ice, and then you can just get a yellow screw in. So generally on my rack, you're going to see a lot of yellow screws. I might get one of the longer, 22 centimeter screws for V threads and stuff like that. I'll carry one of those on glaciers when I'm trying to drill down into the glacial ice to get a V thread or something. But most of the time, I'm carrying these, the yellow screw from Petzl. Screws can come in either steel or aluminum. I just have some aluminum with me today. The aluminum are great. They weigh way less, but you got to realize sometimes in sticky ice, so ice that has water running over it, when it's cold outside, the aluminum screws are actually going to freeze the water that's moving as it cuts into the ice. So they can get really sticky. I actually did a tech tip a while back. You just use a silicone impregnated cloth to stick through the screw. It's like a gun cloth. Basically what it does is it lubes the inside of the screw, and then it makes them really easy to screw in, and also the ice inside it will come out much easier, which you want to do when you clean it. So we're going to look at placing screws, where we want to place those screws. So generally, when we have ice, we're going to want to find some sort of concavity. And of course, we can help that out too. If we have a concavity, we can get a little bit of a hole going for ourselves that'll really help us get that screw in. So here I've got a hole that I've made. So now all I have to do is start to put the screw in, and I can give it a twist, and I'll go one more twist, and now it's pretty good. A lot of times I'll give it another one before I start to pull the lever out, and now I can start to twist the lever and it's going to go in. When we place the screws, we want a nice even flow of ice to come out, and you can actually feel that as you turn the screw to see, you can feel it when you turn the screw, the pressure that's happening in there and the friction, and of course that's usually all solid. If it's solid, if it all of a sudden gets real easy, there might be an air pocket in there and it won't be as good a screw. So generally we want that, what I call the ice turd, to come out and to be pretty solid as it comes out. Because our strength comes from the threads on the screw, we don't want to place the screw where it's being torqued like this. In fact, I'll place it in here in this manner. And I'm not going to place it very far because I'm just going to show you what's going to happen. So this starts to rip itself out. It can break the ice, and you can see there, it just broke the ice on the lower part of it out. So if I actually place it, I want to place the screw at a little bit of an upward angle going into the ice. So a lot of times I'll start them straight. And then what I'll do is I'll use the bottom threads to kind of bite in there and turn it down. And now I start to twist. And now you can see that took a lot more force to pull out. So having a little bit of a downward pull, so it's pull out force, is what we're looking for. We don't want it to be shearing the screw off. So that little bit of downward, and then you'll notice, watch the ice come out. Sometimes too, we'll get the hangers getting caught up here. So I'm going to want to actually chop out where the hanger's at to help it get around the corners. And that's pretty good there. Petzl has a nice play in their hanger so that the hanger can kind of mold to the ice when we put it in the ice. Now I'm sure everybody's wondering, it's like, well, this is really easy to do while we're standing on the ground here. What about while you're holding on? Generally what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some sort of high tool and get into that good stance. And I really want to place at my hip because this is going to give me the most driving force. So I can really get in here and start to drive. And again, if I need to, I can chop some of that out with my tool. With the new screws these days though, the angles that they're at are so easy to drive. So just that 1, 2 twists and maybe a third, and I'm ready to start driving that screw in. So being at that hip can really place it in. But if you do get into an area where you need to place something higher, you can definitely do that with the new screws because again, they're so sharp that we used to not be able to place them over our heads like this. All right, so seconding, when we clean screws, there's a few important things that we want to do. So obviously they have the quick draw on them. We don't want to get up, unclip the rope, and then just start taking the draw out because it'll just start doing that. And there's a good likelihood it's gonna unclip. So first thing we want to do, we're going to grab the quick draw and take it off and put it over on our belt. The next thing we're going to do is we'll flip the lever open, take the screw out, and now this is really important. We want to make sure that we get that ice turd out of the screw. So we can just beat that on the head of the axe. We don't want to beat these threads. These threads, if you mar these threads, it makes it really hard to get the screw back in. So we want to be really careful. You can hit anywhere on the head of the screw that you want. Clean that ice out. Once you see it's out, you can even blow on it. Just don't get your tongue stuck on it. And you can clip it on your ice clipper. Hey, thanks for joining me today in Highlight Canyon. Hope you guys get out there and get some ice in this season. It's starting to be a great season already. This place is super fat. We've climbed in North Carolina, we've climbed here, headed in just a couple weeks to New Hampshire. Definitely stoked on this season. If you like these tech tips, please like the video, comment, and subscribe. That helps our channel grow.